to the podcast So Casted. I'm your host, Tara Lockett. Today's topic, mood versus poverty. But before I get into that, I do want to talk to you a little bit more about mental health and the importance of us keeping that at the top front, that we are aware of mental health every single day. But I must note, we celebrate mental health awareness in the month of May, just so you know. But for me, anybody that knows me, mental health awareness should be, we should be aware every single day because we don't really know what the next individual is dealing with. And so it's important for us to show the kindness needed. Now, I want to share a value note with you from Miss T Love 13, and that is about self-analysis. Identifying unhealthy behaviors and then understand what you might need to work on to get to that level of evolvement. And that's where we as humanity should be heading toward that level of evolvement, not declining, but evolving. It's important that we do that. Now, I want to remind you of the mission of SoCasted, and that is to heal minds, free hearts, and activate change. And it's based on the why and on purpose of SoCasted, and that includes the 3 T's, which is our truth, our trust, and our treasures. And the on purpose is based on the significant realization that though many individuals walk around free, we walk around in bondage in our mind. And that is what I call the marks of mental slavery. And the marks of mental slavery is basically a mental constipation of our past experiences and traumas stuck here. And we need to figure out a way to get them out of the mind so that we can heal the mind. Now, the 3 T's, what I talked about, the truth, the trust, and the treasure, is very important in that process. Now, our mood versus poverty. In season 1, episode 11, I talked about a speech that I gave called Hello Mag. And that means our mood, our attitude, and the things that we are grateful for. You see, what I had to do was I had to evaluate myself for about 2 months. And what I was evaluating was, what is my thinking like? What do I think, and what am I processing? How am I feeling? And so I took the time to analyze myself, to figure out what was going on with me. And it is important that we get a hold of our thinking. If our experiences in life was nothing but negativity, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be thinking in a negative way. And then you're going to find that hard truth that I found out, which was, wow, my negative thinking is affecting my life. And when I think negative, it's ushering in negative experiences. Now, that's interesting to me because I'm always a person trying to be at least positive, at least for other people I was. But for myself, I had to battle that mental constipation, and I had to break the marks of mental slavery that I was dealing with. So that was my hard truth through this experience, is finding out that my negative thinking was controlling the negatives in my life. And I had to get a fix of that. Now, accepting that hard truth was making a list of things that I really wanted to work on to get better at. I trusted the process, and as a result, I experienced the treasures of controlling my mood. I'm not perfect in that, but at least I know once I get off, I know how to guide it back, and that's basically activating the change. And then I also gained the ability to have confidence knowing that I can control that mood and take back my power and control. So that's what Hello Mag is about. I encourage you to go and check that out. Season 1, episode 11. It is audio only, but it is talking about Hello Mag, and that is our mood, our attitude, and what we're grateful for. Now, according to Google, our mood actively drives human development by directing cognitive focuses, accelerating social integration, and guiding emotional regulations from our childhood, from adolescent, and into adulthood. So my question to you is this. If you're in your childhood, and this is what our mood, right? We're dealing with mood for right now. And you don't deal with those things that interfere with the nature of your mood. You bring that into adolescent. Now, when you get into that adolescent stage, same things, but the only thing different is now you're carrying that baggage into a whole different new world for yourself. Adolescent stage is different because now you're starting to evolve and come into yourself as an adult, right? And so if you didn't heal the childhood trauma, now you're in your adolescent stage. And guess what? If you don't heal the adolescent stage, that carries over from your childhood into adolescent, and that adolescent stage carries into adulthood. Now we find a lot of grown people, adults, I was one, who was unhealed of those traumas, and that mood plays a very big factor when it comes to dealing with that. Now we're going to talk about poverty. Poverty restricts human development by imposing chronic stress and limiting access to vital resources. What's important here? Our brain and cognitive development, our health and our physical wellness, and our social emotional function. So what does that tell me? That tells me that we are supposed to function in a mature way emotionally when we socialize with one another. But that's not happening in today's world. And it's unfortunate, but we must heal. Now, before I shut this down and close, I just want to share a fact with you. Now, this is a fact. Generational cycles. When children who grow up in a poverty state and environment, they are more likely to experience poverty in their adult life. And that reduces high school graduations as well as college. And then the rates are low in that graduation stage, as well as limited employment opportunities. So what happens is we create that barrier that is incredibly challenging to break. That's a barrier incredibly challenging to break. Now, before I close, what I'd like to say to you about that is it is incredibly challenging, yet it is very possible. And I know that firsthand because I am one of those individuals who had to go through that process of breaking it. Now, I want to say that poverty, it really is a mindset. And the moment we get our mind together and how we see life and value and things of that nature is more important for us to understand what poverty means. And then it's another taking that list to add a list to the goal to fix. Okay, what do I need to work on in my negative pattern of thinking? Poverty. Okay, I grew up in this environment, but it doesn't mean that it makes me who I am. So then I have to take the steps necessary to find out, how do I get out of this? Because according to what Google says, it's an incredible, challenging break. And so I challenge you to step up to the plate and challenge yourself for it to be possible. So cast it, but don't you quit, because your mind matters and truly is a vision of the future. Imagine great.